It's Nekia Nichelle, and I'm here today with a veteran broadcaster,
Old.
journalist. No, experience,
Old.
no. Ed Gordon.
Hi, Nekia. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
30 years in the game.
Something like that.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
You've been through it all.
Well, it's interesting because I'm still doing it, and most of the people I start with are no longer
I know.
in the business. So I'm most proud maybe of that, the idea that at the end I'm still kind of standing.
Yeah. Now, how did you start off in journalism?
When I was in college, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Was getting ready to take the LSAT, and my professor said, hey, I think you might be good at this thing. So now I tell people I took a year off to think, but I didn't have a job when I graduated. And my brother's old girlfriend, who wasn't talking to him anymore, but was still talking to me, worked at a television station in Detroit, where I'm from.
Okay.
I started as an intern, unpaid, at the public broadcasting affiliate in Detroit, and I've been going ever since.
What is the most, since you've seen it all and it's been 30 years or more, what was the moment in your journalistic history where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I interviewed?
Oh, I've had so many of those.
Really?
I've had
Even
so
still
many
to
of
this
those.
day?
Not as much today, only because I've interviewed so many people. I don't have that one person I'm still longing to interview, but I still love what I do today.
Mm-hmm.
And I still get excited when I have a story or what's new, or, we want to get this person. That hasn't died. But there were times where I just literally said, I can't believe I'm here.
Really?
And maybe most recently was when Oprah had the salute to the civil rights legends.
Mm-hmm.
About a year and a half or two back, and I'm sitting amongst all of these stars and celebrities and icons of the civil rights era, and I'm one of a few that were invited, and I'm literally saying to myself, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here. So
How did you make it to such, you're iconic. I saw your interviews back on BET, and then you've transitioned and gone on in different areas. When was that moment where you were like, you leap from one thing in Detroit, being an intern, then you go,
Yeah, but it wasn't one moment, and that's what I try to tell people. Your career is what it is,
right.
And because you live it and you're in the moment, you don't always see it as people do, and so it's just been a progression for me, a journey, a road that I've been on, and it isn't till I really look back and think about it, or of late, honestly, the last 4 or 5 years, that people use words like iconic or veteran, or really, I'll get somebody 35, 40, just kind of taken aback by meeting me simply because they grew up watching me. And so
I'm there right now. I'm just, doing a better way of hiding it right now.
I don't see it that way, though, honestly. And this is not false modesty or anything. It's just, the circle I have around me has always kept me humble. You lose enough jobs if you stay in that that there are times you're not as on top as you were last week, last year, or maybe even a year from now. So if you keep that kind of steady pace, that old saying of steady wins the race.
Yeah.
So I've tried to look at it that way.
I read somewhere that before Tupac died, you had an interview with him.
Yeah, Tupac became a little buddy of mine. We did an interview, and a lot of people call it kind of the definitive interview with him.
Okay.
If you go on YouTube now, people, and it's been springing up of late, maybe because the movie's coming out and the like, but after we did the interview, he said to me, Ed, would you mind if I get your number and call you from time to time? He said, I didn't grow up with a father, as you know, and I'm looking for guidance. And he was real honest about, where he was. His mom was very close to him and did what she could, but he was looking for people who were slightly older. He didn't want somebody who didn't really connect with him and didn't understand. And so he said to me just that, you're slightly older, but you get me. And so we would talk from time to time. He'd call me every now and then, and I talked to him about a week or two before his death. And his mother, God rest her soul, talked to me some years later and thanked me for taking time with her son. And so he was just one of those guys that I think was special and had a gift. You know, the word great and iconic are used and thrown around a lot nowadays, but he was really a different kind of young man, and very special. Had some talents that unfortunately we didn't get to see in the end. But I was happy to have been a little part of his life and helping him along.
Knowing him, where do you think his career would be today?
Oh, I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. Somebody asked me that the other day, and all we really know is what he was. Certainly the road ahead of him was bright and paved with gold if he decided to take that road. I mean, that was part of Tupac's problem. He didn't always take the road best traveled.
Okay.
And so I would hope he would have done what I saw LL and Queen Latifah and others do and transition out of simply being a rapper to so many other things. He certainly, you know, I think of Common today. You know, Tupac certainly had that ability to connect on so many different levels. He had already started to act. I think he could have been, and he certainly was, a soldier for his generation in terms of speaking. And really putting his heart on the line in terms of what he and others of his generation were feeling. So I think he would have been an important figure, but I think he was one who needed guidance, as I think a lot of young people do. I certainly did when I was that age. And as I look out today, I think there are a lot of young people out here today who are in need and seeking guidance, and we're not always giving it to them.
I know you cover a lot as far as a journalist. You're not only focused on politics, but you're focused on entertainment, pop culture, and other things that happen in the world, which you should be. All journalists should be able to branch out into different areas. But in your new show on Bounce TV at Gordon, you will be covering different things. And I saw that you just covered and talked to the mothers of movement, I think it is.
The premiere show, we talked to the mothers of the movement. We talked to 5 women who had, 4 of whom lost their children to gun violence, one whose child was shot by the police, but thankfully he did not pass away. A very emotional segment, one that really touched the hearts of many viewers, one that I'm proud to say I think showed what TV can be on its best day. We were shocked and surprised and pleased that we had close to 1 million viewers the first night, premiere night. And it really was a show that we were not only proud of, but showed what I think we hope to do with this program, and that's all-encompassing. We had that. We had an interview with Nate Parker and looking at Birth of a Nation. We talked to Maxwell.
I'm jealous about that, Ed.
Many women are jealous about that. And so we kind of ran the gamut and covered so many things. And so one of the reasons I'm in Chicago is for show 2, which will air December 13th, the premiere night. We're going to take a look at Ebony and its iconic nature, not only to Black America, because I sometimes think we short shrift by assuming that something as iconic as Ebony is only iconic to African Americans. But Ebony is an iconic brand for America. It has told Black America's story and therefore America's story since the 50s. And so I just really think that we need to make sure that we are inclusive in what we do by means of bringing hard and heavy news, but we also want to bring stories like this, showcase and shining the things that are positive in Black America, as well as covering the warts as well. I think that we can't turn our eyes away from some of the issues that we have in our communities, and so we're going to try to shine the light on everything, as well as have those kind of celebrity profiles that I've been doing for many years that people seem to like.
Yeah. I was like, he got Maxwell, hot. How was that talking to him? Have you talked to him
It's
before?
Good, yeah. You know, we laughed because the first time I did an interview with him was when the first album dropped 20 plus years ago.
Wow.
And I laughed and said, I remember you said, your mom was a big fan of mine. And he said, yes, Mr. Ed, as he calls me. He said, she still is. And I laughed about how in telling him that I thought Maxwell, from the time I saw him live, was already seasoned, which isn't always the case with a young performer. And so I think he's been one of those who has mastered his craft And we talked more about his growth as a human being. Maxwell is very concerned with social issues of the day. He's become very close with Harry Belafonte, who many people are saluting and appreciating, perhaps better now than not at all. But certainly those of us who've known Mr. Belafonte and his travels by means of the civil rights movement, he talked about the influence that Mr. Belafonte has had on him. And so anytime we sit down with a celebrity, I want to do more than just talk about the latest project or, your new movie, your new music. That's great and all good, but I like to kind of delve into who that person is as well.
Of course, that I feel you on that, because that's a lot of times what I like to do, and especially lighthearted, because we do have some heavy issues going on in the world, and I wanted to get your take on some of the things that is happening outside of politics and social issues. But being a journalist, you've, like I said, been through the gamut. You've seen it all. You've seen the changes in the world. Have you noticed any social issues that have changed, or do you look back and say, we're still dealing with the same thing I dealt with when I started this?
Well, it's both.
Okay.
I mean, certainly there have been changes. I wasn't obviously a journalist in the 60s, but as you look at the world today for African Americans in this country, our life is better than it was in 1960. That being said, we're still dealing with some of the issues that we dealt with in the 60s. I've done stories now for 2 and 3 generations about police brutality and killing and death in our community at the hands of people who look like you. We sit in a city that is grappling right now with senseless violence disproportionately going on in black communities here in Chicago, and the killings that we see. This has gone on for way too long, and it's not just Chicago. And there will be those who argue, well, it's not just black people. No, it's not, but disproportionately it is. And I don't really concern myself as much with the idea that it may not be happening somewhere if it's happening here in our community. And so I need to make sure that we understand, while things are better in many ways, we have seen some regression. Like life, everything is evolutionary, so things change, and we just need to keep abreast of all those.
There are things that I see in the world, or that have opened my eyes, and I see as a journalist, that kind of disappoint me. Is there anything that you see that disappoints you or has changed your view about?
It's a different game. Somebody asked me the other day about that, D.L. Hughley, as a matter of fact, and I just said to him, it's a different game. I think journalists today are different than I was, where we were told not to be the story, don't interject yourself into the story, just tell the story. That's how I was raised, to tell a story. Today's journalist wants to be part of it. They want to see how many likes they can get on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. They want to interject, I think, not just for the sake of pushing a point, but it gives you more face time. It gives you more people talking about you. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying it wasn't necessarily how I was taught to give journalism. So I'm not one of those stick in the muds who said, well, back in my day, and you assume that it was better. Back in my day, it was different. And everybody has a preference. My preference is to let the story tell the story, and don't interject yourself in it unless there's relevance to your interjecting yourself. But it's certainly different than it was 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Okay. And what made you choose to air your segment on Bounce TV and not like maybe OWN or? Well,
I mean, we had been in conversations with Bounce, and I wish I could just pick where I wanted to go.
Oh, you couldn't do that.
But it's not that simple. You go where people are interested in having you, or maybe the fit is best, or you run into, as is the case with Bounce, some folks, and you start a conversation, and the next thing you know, you're moving to a show. I mean, even at the level that I've been able to reach, I think about friends like Soledad O'Brien or many others who've been out there for a while. And then I was told years and years ago, I remember seeing an interview with Regis Philbin. And Regis Philbin said, if you stay in this television business, you will be fired. And you just need to figure out how you get over that and move to the next. And so myself, And we can run a whole litany of folks who have had shows here and lost them. And it's really about reinventing yourself, not being too down when your show is canceled. And that's being fired, people. It sounds better if they say, they just canceled your show,
right,
but you were fired. And so I try to tell my daughter, life has its ups and downs. And the trick is to figure out how you get from down to up and to get back up again. And as we sit here and the building where Johnson Publication is housed, I remember one of the last conversations I had with John Johnson, who created all of this. And he talked to me about turning no into yes and how you go about that and don't let no stop you. And so that's always been kind of my mantra, just to kind of figure out how to get what you need to keep moving.
Yeah, it's a long, difficult road as a journalist. And I think a lot of people don't know that. They think that, oh, you've been on BET and everything is all, gravy all the time. And it's not. I mean, you do have peaks and valleys and, highs and lows, and it's
and that
the nature of the game.
Right. It's the nature of the game. And that being said, my friends tease me, my closest friends, and said I've never had a real job in my life. And so, listen, it is what it is. It's hard work at times. There are times that I literally work 48 hours straight, with very little sleep after that. Because we had to complete an assignment, or we had to travel from this place to another and get there before the person we were covering got there. And so, but I wouldn't trade it. I remember my mom said to me one day, she called and I picked up the phone in a hurry and I said, hello in a hurried tone. She said, "Oh, baby, you must be rushing. I'll let you go. Let me ask you though, where you going?" I'm going, "Oh, Mom, I'm going to this stupid dinner." She said, "Okay, where's the dinner?" I said, "Oh, stupid dinner at the White House." And she goes, "Wait a minute, boy."
No, he
Wait
didn't.
a minute. She said, "I know you have done a lot and, I'm proud of you, but don't take for granted what you're doing." And it wasn't that I was necessarily taking it for granted. I didn't think about it. But ever since then, I really have appreciated what I've been allowed and what I've been able to do. And so I try to tell, again, the kids that I help raise, it really is about dedication and hard work. I don't know anybody who's supremely talented and successful who doesn't work hard. And that's from an athlete. So if you don't think LeBron James works hard or Steph Curry, you're wrong. To an entertainer, if you don't think Beyonce or Maxwell or others work hard, you're wrong. Kevin Hart is the embodiment of working hard.
Right.
Steve Harvey, the embodiment of working hard. So when you look at successful people and you see all of the trappings they have, and it's wonderful and it's great, and the riches and the fame, or you look at someone even at my level who people assume things about you and what you have and what you do. And yeah, it's better than a lot of jobs or places that I can think of that I would be. But it has come with working hard and learning your craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What do you do to stay conditioned? Because social media changed the game a little bit.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, you just do you.
I just, my wife is a marathoner, and I'm just, yeah.
A lot of yoga, maybe?
No.
Working out?
Zero.
Eating right now?
I must say, I
Okay.
lost about 25 pounds about a year ago. I've had it off for about a year now. My wife wanted to do this thing. She was, she's always doing something. And she said, "I want you to do it with me for 30 days. Try it." So I tried it. So I'm not, gluten-free and don't do this. I'm from Detroit. I eat meat. But I have conditioned myself to eat less now and better and less sugar and all the things they tell you they do. But, I'll still go have pizza and some cake or whatever the case is. So
okay.
I'm not, I'm not that guy. Everybody thinks because I do love clothes that I'm real particular. No. You see me on the weekend and I'll go out and forgive me, like my old boss used to say, I look like "damn it, I'll bite you." So, jeans, a baseball hat or whatever. It's not that serious to me.
No, I must say, I was expecting you to have a 3-piece suit on
Everybody
today.
thinks I had a guy tell me, he looked like, maybe, don't take this as a slight. Looked like he might have been homeless. He came up to me on the street one time. He said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, "Oh, good." He said, "Man, wear your suit." I was like, "How'd you have cable, bro?" But I am suitless often.
Okay, because that's
Yeah.
why I came. I said, "Well, hold on, he's gonna come with the three piece.
Tomorrow,
I gotta come with the two piece."
Tomorrow I will have my gaiters and everything else on as
Okay.
we complete the shoot here. But I was getting a little dirty today, so I just had on a little leather today.
Oh, okay. But so we got to come here while you're doing a little, little filming and getting
Yes.
a preview of episode 2. Which is
Exactly.
cool.
Exactly.
Where do you guys usually film? Is it in
It's all over.
all over? Okay.
I mean,
so
we
you don't
go
have
where
a
the story
studio?
is. I shoot the studio portion, which is simply an in and out, an intro into the piece in Atlanta. But this time we'll be here in Chicago, in New York, in LA. For the Mothers of the Movement, we were in St. Louis.
Okay.
I caught up with Maxwell in Atlanta. So, I mean, we just go wherever.
Are you doing this under your own production company, or is Bounce TV providing you?
It is a joint venture between Ed Gordon Media and Bounce.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I don't know. I don't think I have any more questions,
No.
Ed. I know I could sit here with you forever because, I mean, there's so many interesting stories that you did cover, and that I heard you were, I think, in the car or. I don't know. OJ called you during the chase. I'm like
No,
during the.
OJ didn't call me
Okay.
during the chase.
Okay.
But obviously,
you had some kind of
obviously
contact with
OJ
him.
Simpson will be the kind of thing that follows me forever.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it a lot. If you notice, you didn't see me a lot during the 25th anniversary, where everybody who had any little bit of OJ, except for Chris Darden, I must say, came out of the woodworks and talked about it. I'm amazed that 25 years later, the nation is still so entrenched in that unfortunate situation for all involved. Johnny Cochran really was a mentor of mine, and one of the main reasons that I was in the mix to get the interview. And so God rest his soul. Johnny was just one of those people who was true to his word. And he said, "Ed, OJ makes his own decisions." And everybody at that time wanted to interview him. He said, "But I'm going to recommend that he sits down with you. I'm not telling you he's going to sit down with you, but I'm going to recommend that he sits down with you." So Johnny Cochran had a lot to do with making that real.
Man, that's amazing. So you got the exclusive, pretty much.
I got the exclusive, not pretty much. That was it.
Definitely. Definitely got the exclusive. Well, it was great talking to you. Great show on Bounce TV. I really like it. People can watch it. What time?
You can watch it. It's a quarterly 1-hour special. It'll be on December 13th on Bounce. And about a week after its premiere, for those of you that don't have it, you can go to bouncetv.com or get the Bounce app and watch the full episode. A lot of people caught it online afterwards.
Yeah, I caught it online. I was having a little buffering problem, but that might be my internet.
That's your bootleg.
That's my
That's your bootleg.
He caught me. But congratulations again.
Thank
and
you.
I look forward for another 30 years in watching you.
Ooh, I don't. But
What?
thank you. I'll watch you for 30. How about that?
Can you? Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.